Hello, YouTube, friends, family. You know, I got a little different interview today. You guys are going to enjoy this. You might want to get your pens and your bucket list ready because this might be something you might want to check. Okay, guys, I'm back. I would like you to meet Mark. Say hello to YouTube, Mark.
Hello, YouTube.
You know, I was sitting here the other day and I glanced over and I see this young man sitting here and this boat that's behind him, but no car or anything. So, you know me, I'm kind of a smart aleck. I said, so you just walk in? He had gotten a ride. Anyway, you know,
That's right.
he is, I don't know if you call it circumnavigating, but what do you call that, Mark?
That's a pretty good word for
Is
it.
it?
Circumnavigation. Yeah, I like that.
He's in a homemade boat, and he is rowing from Montana. Where are you from?
I'm from Great Falls, Montana.
Great Falls. And is that where you started?
No, I started in Three Forks, Montana, at the start of the Missouri River.
Start of the Missouri River. He's going to go down the Missouri, into the Mississippi, into the Gulf of... Wow, are you crazy?
Probably.
Yeah. Tell me about yourself, Mark.
Okay.
What do you do for a living?
I'm actually a civil engineer.
Okay.
I've been doing civil engineering for 6 years. I have a master's degree in civil engineering even. I went to school in Montana State University, Bozeman.
Okay.
But I left my job recently to do this trip about 4 months ago. This trip, I started in Three Forks, Montana, and I'm going to go all the way down to the ocean. And afterwards, I would like to continue in some kind of engineering, but not private consulting like I've been doing before.
Okay.
Because basically my job as a private consultant, where I was working in Bozeman, Montana, was to make billionaires more money, and that was essentially it. And
yeah.
I wasn't happy there. I wasn't fulfilled or feeling like I was doing a public service in that. So I decided to leave, and what I would like to do after I'm done with this trip is actually go overseas.
Okay.
And do engineering in third world countries.
Now, didn't you say you did that for a while?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got my foot in the door. I've been to Africa twice. I've been to India once. I went to Africa with Engineers Without Borders, drilling wells in Kenya.
Wow.
And I would love to continue doing things like that.
Well, I tell you, I think you probably are. You're right on your way. Tell me about your boat.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. The boat, I bought a kit online to build this rowboat. It's a 18-foot long sculling rowboat. Yeah, you can, if you pan over a little more, you can see the name of it. The name of it's Sternella, which is the genus of the meadowlark. It's another way to say meadowlark, the bird. And basically, it's stitch and glue construction. It's mahogany plywood, and you stitch the panels together with copper ties, and then you epoxy it all together. So, and then after you epoxy, you also fiberglass the whole boat. So that's what gives the boat its strength, is the epoxy and the fiberglass. The mahogany plywood is strong, but it's pretty flimsy. For example, I've already broken the boat once.
Oh, wow. You didn't tell me that.
I did. I was going down the Moroni Rapids, just downstream from Great Falls, Montana.
Okay.
And I hit a rock going over, it's a class 2 rapid. I hit a rock, cracked the boat in 3 places.
Okay.
So I had to fix it. And I fixed it by just basically getting all the rotten wood out of it, drying it out, getting all the rotten wood out, and then fiberglassing and epoxying over the cracks. Okay. Basically.
Now, I see some Gorilla Tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of Gorilla Tape. The Gorilla Tape, actually...
See that Gorilla Tape there? It works for everything, people.
It's great. The Gorilla Tape is just for wear and tear mostly. Whenever in a boat like this in stitch and glue construction, if you get a crack or something like that, you want to cover it up, because you don't want water to get into the plywood and rot the plywood and soak it in,
Right.
make it expand and break the boat essentially. So I'm trying to add a few years to the boat with a little bit of Gorilla Tape, basically.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at the boat here in a little bit, people.
Okay.
Excuse me. I got a tickle in my throat. Okay. So you had said before this was kind of a check on your bucket list.
Yep. This has been a bucket list item for me for about 20 years now. I've wanted to do this. My bucket list includes this trip, rowing the Missouri from Montana to the ocean, hiking the Continental Divide Trail from Mexico to Canada, and riding a bicycle from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean across the USA.
Well, you know what? I think you've got a good shot at doing all three.
I'm doing this one first. This is the easiest one, believe it or not.
Right.
Rowing down the river is the easiest one. So
I would find that difficult. I could maybe e-bike across the country.
Yeah.
Maybe, as long as I don't have to pedal.
Yeah.
It was kind of happenstance how we met. I thought it was just kind of ridiculous to see a boat and no car.
Yeah.
But remember, people, like I said, get your pens and get a check on your bucket list. I don't care what it is. You can, just about anything on that list, you can do. I'm going to turn you off. We're going to come back with a little bit of look-see at the boat.
Okay. So this is a sculling rowboat, which means I sit backwards and I sit in a sliding seat and I row with 2 oars, one in each hand. And my oars are behind me on the ground there. You can see them. They're 9 foot long, which is great because it's a big oar. I can get a lot of rowing power. It's very efficient. It's a very efficient way to row. This is the rigger arm, which basically rigs the oars to the boat. These are the oar locks where the oars sit. And this is the sliding seat here. You can see this is where I sit and row.
Now, you had told me that rowing is, what did you say, 80% legs?
60.
60% legs.
Yep. You're right. So I've got some meat haunch legs right now, basically.
Oh yeah, he's got some workout legs there.
They've it's 60% legs. It's about 25% core, actually, your stomach and your chest, and then about 15% arms.
So what you're saying is a fat man like me should be rowing. Thanks,
I've
Mark.
I've lost 25 pounds, believe it or not.
In a month.
Trip. Yeah, in about a month. Yep.
Wow.
So that was another side benefit of the trip.
Yeah.
Basically. And let me pop open the hatch so you can look inside it too.
Oh yeah, that'd be
so
great.
See the plywood. I chose to paint it red, which is my favorite color, and white, which is a pretty standard color for a hull.
Okay.
Of the boat. The deck is red. And so inside, this is the hatch cover, but inside you can see that's what it looks like. That's the mahogany plywood. It's okume. It's from Africa. And it's beautiful plywood. I almost wanted to varnish it. The reason I didn't is because paint is a more durable, long-lasting finish for the boat. But you can see, I was mentioning stitching glue earlier. Basically, I drilled little holes along these two plywood panels, and then I stitched it together with copper wire. You can, if you look real close, you can see the holes still. And then after I stitched them together, I put epoxy, thickened epoxy in to glue it all together. And then on top of the epoxy, this is a little 2-inch wide fiberglass strip. So that's the inside of the boat. That's the only part of the inside of the boat that got fiberglassed, was the chines. They call it a chine. The corner of the boat where 2 plywood panels meet. That's a chine. Okay. So here, if you look here, you can see this is one of the cracks. Yeah. From my experience on the Moroni Rapids. So that's what fiberglass looks like. Basically, it's just glass cloth that you soak in epoxy, and when you do that, it becomes very rigid and strong. So wow. You can see here, this is a joint. Yeah.
Let me see the joint.
Okay. Look at the joint here.
Okay.
So plywood sheets only come in 8 feet long, right? So the boat's 18 feet long, so I had to join 2 different plywood cuts together to make it 18 feet long, basically. And you can see that here.
Then that's very rigid then.
Yeah, yeah. I bought a kit. Like I said, I had a construction manual. Anyone can do this. You can build your own boat, believe it or not. I have no woodworking experience at all. I'm just, you know, able to read a construction manual.
But you're a civil engineer.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can read a construction manual and follow directions, you could build this boat too.
Really?
Yes.
Now, you have a lot of stuff over here. I'm going to turn around,
Sure.
people. Now, this stuff that he's got all fits in the boat.
Yep.
How much weight would you say you carry?
It's about 200 pounds.
Okay. 200 plus you and
Plus me. The boat can hold 800.
800.
Yep.
Cool.
Before it starts to be navigable, unrowable.
Little two-man tent.
Yep, that's a two-person tent. I do a lot of camping, bootleg camping, basically camping on islands.
Okay.
Where people will have a harder time to come harass me. That's why I like islands.
Yeah, bootleg camping.
Yep. And I've got, it all just barely fits in the boat perfectly, and it's works very well. So.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to this, Mark?
Yeah, I do. There's another reason why I'm doing this trip. Actually.
Yeah.
It's because I wanted to grow in my faith of the God of the Bible, and I've been doing that tremendously on this trip. I've been listening to sermons as I row. I actually have a speaker to keep my mind busy and engaged. I have a speaker, and I listen to sermons from several well-known American pastors, Alistair Begg, John MacArthur, my home pastor there in Bozeman, Brian, and I'm also memorizing the book of Romans, which is a book in the Bible. It's 15 chapters long. I'm up to chapter 5.5, memorizing that as I row as well. So
memorizing, as in
yes, sir.
Word verbatim.
Word for word. Yeah,
word for word.
Yep, I could do it for you if you. It would take me about 20 minutes to get through
Really?
the first.
That's amazing in
chapters.
itself.
So
yes,
yeah, I really wanted to grow spiritually. If you'll say that, grow in my faith, and that has happened so far.
Oh, I bet it did.
Yeah, it's just been great. God has answered so many prayers for me just on this trip, and it's been very, very encouraging.
Well, you know, Mark, I appreciate you.
Sure.
Nice to meet
you too, Randy. Yep.
People, remember, you guys drive safe, row hard, travel on any way you can, and love one another if you can, and if you can't, you try harder.
And go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Very good, Mark. All right, thank you now.